Alright guys, welcome back. Reece and Ben here with Pursuing Deadly Arts. And today we're out here testing out a new product. These are cold steel wasters. And what's great about these is that they're a polyurethane material, which means you can use the back end here safely. So we're going to be playing with these guys today and see if they're adequate for studying harness fighting. So we'll put them through their paces and see how they fare. Alright guys, so we're going to show you guys these more in depth. If you saw our last video, during our demo we did out in public, we saw a couple instances where we used the back end of the sword, a technique we call Mort or the mortar stroke. We don't do that too often in harness with the steel swords because it actually works quite well. It sucks to get hit with a metal pommel. So most of the time when you see us bout with steel swords, we're mostly working on point work. But to do the system as a whole, you use both ends. So this makes it, you see it's very versatile, and this is a especially good technique against guys in harness, for harness fashioning. So some of the things we run into with the steel ones is, you know, it's hard to control. When you're swinging this, you got a lot of mass in front, and it's clobbering him. No matter how much you try to pull it, it's just the weight of it, and you know, with you stepping forward and all that will certainly ring your bells. So one thing we looked at is with these, they're very light. They don't have much mass to them, so we thought this could be another option for people for a simulator for studying harness fashioning. So what's great about these guys too is they're stupid cheap. They're like 30 bucks. So you know, we've used these for a little bit. They're getting chewed up a bit, just the nature of it being going against a metal surface and stuff. But it's actually holding up quite well. And another point we do like about them is that they're very stiff. These guys virtually have no flex to them, which is something you want in a sword for harness fighting. So most people do, when they're doing steel swords and stuff, they usually add a little flex for safety. That's great, that's totally understandable for people that aren't wearing harness. But to perform a technique such as arm locks, all the joint locks, twisting the wrists and stuff, it needs to have a stiff sword. So Ben's got another one out here today. We're going to be doing a review of this guy here before long. This is a one made from Kingston Arms. So this one's appropriate for early 15th century design, contemporary with the styles of harness that we have. The great thing about this one, it's really stiff too. So we're going to be playing with both of these blades today and just kind of show you the advantages that we found with these guys. So we're going to be working through the stuff now in comparison of what we've been working through with the steel swords compared to these guys and see how they fare. So.
Alright, so back here with the poly swords, you can see obviously their stiffness is pretty good, and that allows for a little better feedback with the Zukin. He can feel my pressure immediately and leave. One of the disadvantages is they're a little slippery. So you got that advantage there in the fooling in the bind. That way you can actually feel the pressure changes. Now as far as stiffness goes, we run into, just like that Kingston Arms sword is so much stiffer. When you come in and do one of the arm lock techniques, go ahead. That was very effective. Yeah. These are even stiffer than that Kingston Arms. Yeah. He had complete control on that one. And I'll return the favor.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, that can pull your shoulder out of socket.
Yeah, that's a much bigger difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and that is precisely why the swords evolved, to defeat guys in harness, against guys in harness, to a thick, heavy blade, so they could apply that leverage with this blade and use it as a big pry bar, as opposed to you know, a flexible sword that you would use to fight a man without armor on. Flex a little bit.
Yeah, that's effective.
Yeah.
All right, so obviously the big advantage with these guys is that we can use the hilt end. So we can perform the Mortschlag or murder stroke. So we've done some testing with these already, just very briefly, but we were putting full force into it and we weren't really feeling much. Whereas the pommel with the strike with the steel blades, the very lightest hit, it's
jarring.
Yeah, it's jarring, and you feel almost nauseated getting hit with it. But these ones were actually quite impressed at how little
damage they
do. So Ben's gonna give me a couple whacks, so you guys just get a feel for, you know, what this looks like, and I'll tell you what I felt.
So not only do we have to not worry about just covering center and getting stabbed, the only other thing you can worry about is that. Yeah. And I got the beak on that one.
No, that wasn't as bad as I thought. My ears ring a bit, but I don't have a jarring headache or anything like that, so pretty cool.
And I'm not babying it, I'm actually putting my hips into it. One straight at the top. Yep. One more time.
I'm okay. Like Ben was saying, that having this option available is great. Now, you know, having just working on the point for so long, it's you're not using the system as a whole. So, especially this end, the murder stroke, using this end here, that is ideal for dealing with a guy in harness.
If you look at the manuscripts in like Fiore, he has two specific swords designed for harness. One of them has spikes on the pommel. The sword's designed to be, they said, 5 pounds. That's the weight of a poleaxe. The cross guards are pointed. This side is intended to be a weapon. It's intended to be a club that you can smash, beat, and you know, otherwise submit your opponent using this part of the weapon. You can imagine if these were sharpened and I brought this thing around and pounded it right into the mail, or especially if I miss the mail and get into a gap and pound into you know, an opening. I could pound into the arm opening. There's all kinds of places I could stick a pointed cross guard, especially a pommel that had spikes all over it. I could really use that, especially the back end, jamming into parts while we're binding and winding around and rowing through the opponent.
And using the hilt, the cross guard for the hooking.
Yeah.
So that's a huge part of it. So we try not to do that as much with the steel ones because it's just, you know, unsafe. So this one here, he can effectively come in Mortschlag and then pull me down. So, and from the testing we've done with that, it seems to be pretty good. So it almost turns the sword much like a small poleaxe, which just adds to the versatility of this weapon system.
The sword that Reece is using currently is a Hanway, right? And that is a Hanway Practical
War sword.
It's sold as a stage combat and is it HEMA or just stage combat? That's what it's for.
Just blunt stage combat.
Just a blunt stage combat sword. It's held up. It's been real durable. It's lasted, you know, years and years of use. Many deeds of arms. Lots of cranking and twisting and thrusting and all that with it, and it's holding up real well. But it's very flexible. You can see, Reece can demonstrate, it flexes very easily, which again for stage combat or for even for HEMA, for a group that would allow that heavy of a sword, you know, if he gets a thrust in, you know, I could do that in a t-shirt and I don't think it's gonna bother me too much. But for our purposes, it makes it a little tough. One instance is Zukin using your Fulin in a bind here. When we're in a bind and he puts pressure, you can see that sword flex. And with a stiff sword, I get more positive feedback so I can feel that firm pressure, so I can then zooking. But with these, since it's so flexible, as I go to pull away, that flex tends to spring into the sword and make it difficult to remove my blade, or him to remove his. Where with a stiffer sword, you don't have that issue. If I take my sword, which is a lot stiffer, and I bind down here close to Reece, and we put pressure, and he has that little bit extra pressure, I can get mine away because it doesn't have that weird springy grab that his tends to do. So it makes a big difference, and that's one of the things we're looking at with this particular Kingston Arms sword. Is very stiff, which gives us that feedback that we like. So as long as I stay down close to his hand where he's stronger and the sword's stiffer, I can really feel the difference. If we get out here on the tips, out here I lose that feel, and it starts to feel spongy, and it makes it a lot more difficult for either of us to retreat away. Yeah, we're both stuck. The tape obviously doesn't help either, but
so do the drill. So I'm pushing you. Yeah, it's adding a bit of a delay for my attack, which is zucking is really beneficial when you take advantage of that height of pressure, because that's when they're going to be creating that opening. So the fact that this guy is so flexible, it's actually a disadvantage for me when working within the bind. So this Kingston Armory sword is very stiff, so it's going to be much more responsive. So that's something that we want in a sword. So Alright guys,
it's not hot.
It's not hot, yeah. Today's actually a decent weather, so it's not freezing cold like it has been, or raining. So took this opportunity to do some training. So we definitely felt that we were a little out of practice.
Sun a little bit.
Yeah, so, but yeah, conclusion. Got to play with the cold steel ones for a little bit today. Overall, I really like these. They're a pretty affordable option. They're nice and stiff. As you guys saw, we can perform the techniques properly with these guys. You know, we were concerned about this cross guard popping off. It's a separate piece that comes up on there, but I was hitting you pretty hard, and it didn't pop off or anything. So I was pretty impressed with.
Yeah, and for the price, I mean, they're not terrible. And I'm sure if one broke, I don't know if you can buy replacements or not. I mean, you could always fashion a replacement if you're handy. But for the price, I mean, they're $30, $30-ish, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, depending on where you look. And it's one of those things that it's not going anywhere. You know, I mean, it's It's not going to break down. It's not going to splinter. It's not going to. I don't see them snapping off or anything. The plastic's pretty durable. The worst we're going to get is chewed up and possibly break this guy off of there. And realistically, if we get 3-4 months of training out before one of these breaks, you know, it's
got your money's worth.
It's got your money's worth, really.
Yeah. So I think this is a good option for people who are maybe new to this, who don't have a lot of money to throw down for a $200 plus sword. You know, this is definitely or more, yeah. Or this is definitely a good option for you guys. So you guys have asked me on the Discord server what you guys could use to start training in harness fishing, and I think this is a really great option. So, but yeah, overall, I like the ability to use this end safely. You know, using the hilt for the murder stroke and stuff. So that's definitely a game changer for sure. So now we just got to get to practicing with it more, because we avoid doing it because the sheer fact is that it works really good with steel swords, and we don't want to necessarily hurt our friends. So, but this we were hitting each other quite a lot, and didn't really have an effect on us as much. So
you could use probably the wooden ones from Purple Heart Armory. They do have wooden wasters, which we do use, like in for Blossfectin. New students often start with a wooden waster because of the price, and if you do a demo where we're in the public, it looks better to use a wooden sword than a plastic one, obviously, for swinging around. It's good pelt training, all that, but the only problem I would see with the Purple Heart ones for harness is that harness chews stuff up. So a wood sword, just like our poleaxe halves are going to have splinters popping off of them. Mort slogging with them. The pommels, I know on those are glued on separately, so I can see those snapping and coming off using those in that manner. And they may hold up for quite a while, but they're also 80 bucks or so.
Yeah,
so
bucks.
For 30 bucks you can beat this thing all to heck and not worry about breaking it. So it's definitely a good option. It just doesn't look great, but
we plan
for training.
Yeah, we plan to paint these up and kind of give these the look of a steel or a sword, if you will, from a distance, kind of like how we did the pole axes from Helge's Armor Shop. So, but yeah, I'm quite impressed with these. Just like I said, the price point, you can't go wrong. 30 bucks,
and they feel great leveraging.
Yeah,
they have plenty of stiffness where they feel real good. When you get a hold of somebody's arm, you got a hold of it. Or when you're manipulating somebody, you've got control, which feels great. Yeah,
this thing had better control than my steel sword. So I've had this thing for a number of years, and it served me very well. But like we said earlier, it's got a lot of flex to it, so it's not very good for doing the arm bars and the proper leverages, for harness fishing. So,
and that leads us into this guy, the Kingston Arms. It's bastard sword. We'll pop the name up on the screen here. It's been a long day, but this guy here, super stiff, feels fantastic when you get into a lever with it. I definitely felt I had more control than I have with the other swords. I was using that fetter from was that Ensifer, or is that
we have Ensifer and Reginier.
I think it was the Ensifer Heavy.
Yeah,
and it's super stiff as well, and I was liking it because it had a lot of stiffness to where you could leverage, and I wouldn't use it for bloss because it's a little too aggressive in the thrust. But for harness, it seemed to feel really good. But this guy's got a better look to him. It's got plenty of stiffness. I can leverage just fine with it, and I think it was 200 bucks. So, that's super cheap for a sword that seems to be holding up extremely well. The edges aren't. I had to round these edges. They come square. Most of the Henway line of swords always come with a real square 90-degree edge, and I beveled it off with my belt sander and smoothed it out. But as far as just start grinding our edges together and pushing and all that, normally some swords will burr and nick up just from that. And so far today, this guy's got no discernible damage on it at all from binding up and pushing. I got a little leathers nicking off on the handle. Leather handles are going to come off when you put steel gauntlets to them, or when you hook armor with it. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm actually quite impressed with just the fit and finish of it.
Yeah.
Usually when we get these type of swords, they almost always have a wiggle to them with the cross guard or the pommel, but I mean, we've been hooking with it. You guys saw us bow with them and stuff, doing the sucking techniques, and it's no give at all. It's still rock solid, so it's quite nice. So
yeah, it's definitely got the look of a lot more expensive sword. It's put together really well. The grinds look really nice on it. You know, all the nitpicky stuff for somebody that's getting a sword because of the way it looks really nice. I'm pretty impressed with that, for sure.
yeah, so we'll put the links in down below in the description if you guys want to get either of these products. So far, like we said, we really like them. So especially the cold steel wasters. That's a pretty good buy.
We should also mention that we are not endorsed.
Yeah. We're not endorsed by Kingston Arms, Handway, or Purple Heart, or Cold Steel, any of those guys. So we just want to bring you guys honest, good reviews. And like we said before in the previous videos, this is a special niche thing. So there's not really much that is suited for studying this side of the art. So we took it upon ourselves to get some of the stuff, and we were generally curious if it would be good for us. So for what we do. So. But yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give us a like and comment down below if you'd like to see more reviews like this in the future. As always, if you guys want to support us, we have a Patreon page, and we got a t-shirt giveaway here soon. We got all of our information down below. If you want to support us through Patreon, follow us on Facebook, and of course, like us and share the video and stuff on YouTube. So, as always, guys, thanks for watching. We'll guys see you in the next video. Take care.